something in a magazine, et cetera, et cetera. We're gonna be going through that here, okay? So when you do it that way, you want it to be set up and done properly, or they're just gonna toss it, they don't care. Because they say in their head, if you don't care, we don't care.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they say. So let's first start. I wanna make sure everybody's comfortable tonight, okay? And I wanna make sure everybody knows where they're at. It's nice that you found the Thompson Library, but I just wanted to point out where the Thompson Library is. So if anybody has any questions, come and see me, okay? And it really, it's a beautiful place, as you can tell. Just don't mind the mice. And I don't want anybody to be nervous, especially when I do start talking about prices and things like that. That we're gonna be talking about tonight, okay? So, if you don't mind, what did I do with my pointer? $150 bag, I paid it.
I'm surprised Elise isn't here. She hasn't been here.
Elise said she'd be coming too.
Oh, she did?
And Jerry too. Okey dokey, yes, that's her. I know I don't want anybody to be nervous tonight, because if I poke Helen, what's your name again, Mary? If I poke Mary in the eye, she would get mad at me. So, okay. So let's introduce. You're probably wondering what I'm gonna get on to do, and I wanna get through some of this in the beginning. This is taken from one of my old shows, and you guys know who I am, so, oh, this is the one I was telling you about earlier. Remember? I had her lying down on the bed, okay? I lit the background, all rice and red for her. This is the guy who wanted me to do this woman nude. And I said, no, you don't have to. And I put a white card here so the light bounced off and should reflect that. And I set this up. And he didn't have to pay me for this. The one that I wanted, she was lying down on her stomach, like a lion looking up. Women are gonna be buying this machine. Or the husband's buying it for them, but the woman wanted it. And, okay, she's pretty in this and that, I happen to know Lisa, she's pretty in all this and all that, but you wanna make sure that you're gonna get strong like this, like a lioness, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't wanna do that, he just wanted to move, and never wanted to do any more pictures with him. This is actually in my house, in my downstairs bedroom. I used to do a lot of stuff, anything you do in Woburn here. There's a rubber stamp company, so you could do all of this stuff. I don't ask why they wanted milk and cookies to show all this stuff, but I actually brought a fence into my house, and I had all these drop plants and everything. Those are my chairs that I had on my back porch, and the table I had on my back porch. So you use what you can, right, Bill? Whatever's there, you just use it, so you never have to worry. Again, these are some of the pictures I took at Holiday Inn in Dedham, and they use this nice, and you can see down here, Bill, that's my box that I'm using. Not Calumet, what I use. I forget the name of my lights. But I cropped this out. As you can see, this is the film itself, 4x5 film. Okay, I just cropped it out, I like that. These people all work there, except for this gentleman here was a guest at the hotel, so use whatever again. I used to do all the Holiday Inns in Boston, Peabody. I did some portraiture. Let's start, okay. Like I was saying to you, the reason why you want to get the chairs out of you, you don't feel so. The reason why you want these pictures is if you have to submit the images you do done correctly, or artwork that you want done correctly, because you want to send it out to galleries, okay? And like I said before, if you didn't spend time to do it the right way, the other's gonna notice that, they have keen eyes. And if you don't care, they don't care, they'll throw it out, so you don't get it. Magazine article submissions. Four-color printing, when you want four-color printing, you want it done properly. If you have somebody that loves the artwork, okay, like I do all my artwork, I have the main one that I'll sell to them, but I take pictures of my main artwork, okay, and I will copy them and put it in a good file or this and that, so if somebody wants a copy of it, I'll sell them a print, like what Bill does all the time, selling prints, okay, that's what photography is already there, you know, for all of this. Bill doesn't even have to deserve to be here, well, he does deserve to be here, but it's his dream, so I don't want to say anything. Or if you're going for contests, any contest, you want to do personal files for your own documentation, step-by-step progression of your work. Another thing you want to do, what a lot of people does, like especially in magazines, if they want to do a write-up of you, a lot of people want to see, you take photographs of your artwork every once in a while. Okay? Well said, huh? And any other reasons you may think of. But these are some of the main reasons. These are the ones I could just think off the top of my head. There are more, I'm sure. Okay. Did I just hand that out to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got that.
Yeah. These are the most inexpensive things that you can buy here. Really. Okay. After you just saw the list that I showed you, like $85 alone just to get one print done, one scan done of your artwork. Okay. And the small ones, you get maybe 3 or 4 scans of it. Why would you need 3 or 4 scans? Really? I don't know. But lights and stands. See those lights right there that I have there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and the stands they're on. You can buy those for what, $10 at Lowe's or Home Depot? And then the stands, I think if you want the stand, it's $15. You don't have to buy professional photographer stands. All you need is a light. And I will be showing you the lights up there because I'm going to show you a little bit here. A camera will, I would suggest before you do a camera, does everybody have what they call a point and shoot camera? Like this right there?
No, I have
Besides your phone, not your phone.
I have a camera, but,
Okay. A regular
a
camera.
Nikon, yeah.
Nikon, okay. Or a point and shoot. This is the cheapest one you can buy. I
Yeah.
think they're like $50 now.
I have a point and shoot, but it's a.
Yeah, but that's,
it has a-
this is just a small one. Okay, that's all you need. So, I mean, you can buy up to $2,000 Nikon or whatever that you want. I have a couple, you know. A camera release, I don't have it on there now, but this
What is that? I don't,
okay, what you do is on the top of your camera, where you push down the button,
yeah.
okay, there's a little hole. And you take this little cable and you stick it in the hole and you screw it into the hole. And it's a thing that comes out so that when you want to release your camera, you just press a button here.
Oh, okay.
You don't touch your camera.
Okay.
You don't want to go anywhere near your camera. If you hear a truck going by outside, I have an old house built in 1765. When a truck goes by the front of the house, I don't take a shot. I can wait till the truck goes by. And then I release it because it'll all come out like that.
Does every camera, I have not noticed a hole, you know, that has.
Not every camera does, no. This one, matter of fact, does not have one.
Yeah.
What you do is, as you're doing photography, or you want assistance from somebody like him or me, all we're gonna tell you, hold your breath, put it on a tripod, just, you never push it hard, you push it soft. Okay, until you get the knack for doing it the right way, okay? So you don't need a camera lease if you can't get one on your camera naturally. It's better to have one, but it's only like $10 for one. A focus sheet, okay. I will explain the focus sheet to you better, but these are a couple of different focus sheets. I'm going to pass one on this side, just to look at it and then pass it on. Just look at it and then pass it on, okay? These are a couple of different focus sheets. If you need any, these are some more the same. Those are focus sheets. Okay.
Yeah,
What
you will
you-
explain me.
Yeah. Once you put something down on a table, or whatever the case may be, you have to focus your camera. Correct? How do you know if your camera's in focus? If you go over and you look at your artwork, how do you know it's in focus?
You look through, you know.
But
I
paintbrush
can't
strokes, the paintbrush strokes are all fuzzy to begin with. So how do you know if it's in focus? You don't. So what you do is you put one of these down on top of the artwork. You have your camera focus on that sheet.
Yeah,
Then you lift it away so you can photograph your artwork and you know your artwork's in focus.
okay, and,
We will be going over that on this,
okay.
okay?
And
It's just
can you download one of those?
You
on
can
the-
have any one of those if you want any one. You can take them all if you
All
want.
right.
Okay, anybody here who wants them, you don't need one. You're smart. Well, and software, if you want to do software. I have a couple of different softwares. I hopefully will get my Photoshop back. It's a long story. But I also use this stuff. I don't use Lightroom, it's a professional software called On1 Photo Raw that I use. It's like master photographers use this type of software, and the stuff you can do with it is unbelievable. Nothing.
But for those of us who are amateurs,
I would get like Photoshop Elements. It's about $65 if you have to. It's like Photoshop, but it's Elements.
That's what I use.
Use Elements? Yeah. Elements is Photoshop. Photoshop, I use a couple of different softwares with Adobe. One of them is Photoshop, InDesign, stuff like that. And the last couple of years I've been paying I paid for the whole package. I had an upgrade. I used to do C5. I upgraded to C6, and it cost me $49. And I had it for a while. Well, I just bought my new computer, and I need to install my new computer. When I went to Adobe to find out how much it's going to cost to have it, they said $300. I said, what? $300? And it's only leased for 1 year.
Yeah, you can't buy soft,
You can't pay.
Photoshop anymore, you rent it.
oh,
And
wow.
it's done online.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I
Elements you can still buy, and it's about
Elements,
$100.
yeah. And how much is it?
$100.
It's about $100 now? Okay.
And it'll do anything you need to do.
Like in Photoshop, okay? But once you get in and you learn Photoshop, what you can do with it, okay, it is incredible, okay? Now, there are things like, in Movie Guild of Artists, that when photographers put their stuff in, okay, there's a difference between photos and computer images, okay? In Photoshop, you can make all these different computer images that you want, or you can do the basics of what you can do in a document. That's the difference between photography or graphics, okay? Because other things you can do in it, it's graphics. You can do whatever you want to look the way you want. You're the artist. It's not for me to say. I'm just saying we do it at WGA just to categorize it in our categories. Okay. But basically, like on one photo, all the stuff you can do in the darkroom, you'd be surprised what you can do in the darkroom. A lot of people don't realize straightening buildings out and all this and all that very easy.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I think you may have inadvertently skipped copy stand versus tripod. Is there a
Oh, okay.
using one of them?
I will show you what a copy stand is. I have a copy stand. Matter of fact, I'm selling a copy stand for $100. That's a tripod,
Right.
okay? A tripod, you put the camera on a tripod, okay? And you can take pictures like this all day. The main focus tonight is I'm gonna show you how to take pictures of your artwork with a setup similar to that, okay? And as you can see there, I'm gonna be showing you how to photograph your, let's say, sculpture or 3D stuff you have, like my little book that I made. What is that again? Raccoon.
Right.
That's my wife, if anybody asks. You've seen Gina, looks just like her. Okay. This one, she knows that's her. Okay. like I said, I have this up for years, this software, this presentation. I just thought I'd keep this in. You may remember, okay, but there's only 2 stores that are still here now.
Hunts, I know.
Hunt's in Melrose and B&H Photo in New York. They give you some great pricing and stuff like that. A lot of photographers buy stuff from B&H. Calumet is gone, you people need some Zeph in Belmont. I have a lot of friends there at Zeph.
Newtonville camera and, they're in Waltham.
Newtonville? Yeah. Oh, I could go through, I don't wanna bog down our presentation tonight. Now, so that everybody understands, okay, we have a light spectrum, okay? And in our light spectrum, when you start talking from X-rays, okay, all the way over to, help me.
It
The
says
word-
radio.
Well, it goes into radio waves, mostly it's infrared, right there. Goes into
Microwave.
infrared, okay? Light literally turns, because it's the frequency of this light is real fast. That's why X-rays can travel right through you, because the light is so fast, the frequency is so fast. So as we go this way, the frequency becomes slower and slower and slower, so much that it turns into radio waves. Light turns into sound. Okay, scientific. The real pisser part about the whole thing is that what you can see, what we can see, people, okay, is that small amount. That's what we see. And we break it out like this, although this is reversed, please excuse me. This should be on this side, the blue and the red should be on that side, so it's reversed here, okay? But what you can see, as the light gets slower, it gets more yellow. As the light speeds up, it gets more white and into the blue. So when you're talking about daylight, or at least, but 6,000 K is, I used to remember all this stuff before, Billy. K hertz. K hertz. What do they call it? I forget. 6,000 K is white light. So when you see white light, like daylight, pretty much in the middle of the day. At night, it starts getting, at night and in the morning, it starts like this until it gets up to the middle of the day. When you go home and you turn on one of these lights, do you see like this color maybe? These are tungsten lights. This is the color. Your eyes adjust immediately. If I pointed to that light, if I pointed to this piece of paper, okay, right here, and I asked you what color was this, what color would you say? White? I'm sorry?
White.
White, okay. If I went over and I had a camera and I aimed it at that, and I asked the camera what color that is, it's yellow. It's not white. It's yellow. It's tungsten lighting that's lighting it up. If there were fluorescence in this room, fluorescence is green. That's the worst of all the colors, green. We have filters and cameras to adjust it. Matter of fact, you know when you go to your camera and you white balance it? Have you done that in your camera on your phone? No? You can go to white balance. So everything that you shoot comes out white balance. So it's like daylight. I'll show you more. But that's the way light works. So the first thing you have to remember is what light you are using to light your artwork. See that one of those lights? I brought 2 lights tonight. One of them is a tungsten, and one of them is the white light. It's not LCD, but it's the new white light. Okay? When I'm doing my artwork, I always use the white light. I have it on my artwork when I'm painting or drawing. And I'll show you the difference between both of them. You see it readily. Because daylight versus tungsten, that's tungsten. That's a tungsten light. At home, you turn on a tungsten light, it's nice and warm at night.
What is tungsten like? You have to get a special, like for one of those,
Every time you went to the store to buy a light bulb,
yeah.
it's always one of these. Except for recently, in the last couple of years.
Conventional light bulb is tungsten.
Oh, is it? Oh,
It'll give you a
okay.
picture of yellow.
See
A
these,
yellow
see these
tint.
lights here?
Yeah,
Those are all standard tungsten.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
So you don't have to have a special, in order to photograph your work, you don't have to have a special light, just the
Yes, you
yellow.
do.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
You
No,
don't
do.
wanna use this, that's what I'm gonna show you in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Be patient. So there's tungsten, tungsten, like I showed you in that list I had here, is around 3,200 K. The other one was 6,000. White is 6,000, it was faster. So it comes out faster. Like, well, again, I don't wanna go on all night here. Here's my camera, or my old FA, greatest camera ever.
Mine is the Nikon, but it's one of those easy, sure shots.
Yeah, no, this is still an old film camera,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But there's three things that control your exposure when you're doing it, okay? I'll take a photograph, that is. There's three things you set in your camera, or automatically will automatically set for you. Your ISO, or your film speed. Now, on the new digital, you can get up to 1600. But usually,
Higher than that.
you go higher than that, well, you're doing dark. You need it when it's really dark. But there's a problem. When you bring it down, I always like to shoot as a ASA or ISO with 100 speed film, or I set my camera to 100 speed because it's like in a computer resolution. It has really great resolution, high-end resolution. Whereas the higher you go, the resolution becomes. Have you ever seen resolution on your computer or something?
Excuse me, but in the automatic cameras, you don't.
You can.
You can?
You can. You can change it in the automatic cameras. Most of them, you can. Okay. On your Nikon, you definitely can. You set it to manual, and you have to set your shutter speed and your f-stop. I don't want to get in too much into photography
Yeah,
tonight,
right.
except for some things. Anytime anybody needs anything in photography, just call me up.
Okay.
Okay. And this is one of the easiest pictures I could take. You don't see any. I think I showed you the last time when we did it at the senior center how to take a photo like that. You just set up a box with the white, and you put it in the bottom. You make that sit up on something.
I probably wasn't there.
Yeah, you were.
I was?
Yeah. That is not a long focal length, but if you're going to shoot your artwork, I would say at least shoot it with normal cameras, and digital is a little different these days, but standard 50 was always the main lens that you use. If a telephoto would go higher numbers, like say 100, okay, or 200, and they become longer lenses, okay? 100 speed lens would be perfect for doing this. And you can adjust it on your, I can even adjust it on that camera right there. Okay, where if I want to zoom out, we want to do zoom out. You don't want to zoom in to get a wide angle, because when you take a picture of your artwork, see this square box? Okay, that box is going to go like this on you. Okay? Or, depending on looking at it, because we're going to get into, this is called keystoning, but it's going to be like this, top and bottom. So it's going to be rounded, it's not going to be square.
So you're saying don't go to wide angle?
Don't go wide angle, no, not at all. Move
Oh,
your,
right there, no
move
wide
your,
angle.
move your camera back more, so you get a longer look at it, so that the lines will stay straight. And you can zoom in on it, not real close,
Yeah.
okay? You can zoom in on it, you stand back further like it said there too, okay? This is the coffee stand I was telling you about. Now, this is a professional coffee stand. This is the one I'm selling for $100 because I never use it anymore, okay? But if you want something in your house to work quick, efficient, and fast for you, if you have small artwork, okay, and you talk about $85, you don't need that, because all you have to do is put your camera up here. That includes even a camera like that. It won't do phones that I'm wearing unless you can buy an adapter to it. But this comes out here this way, and you can make it go up and down as far as you want, okay? All you have to do, you don't have to worry about this end of it, because that's glass, that's a light coming up from beyond if you're doing like E6 and seafood stuff if you want to do it, okay? But this is, oh, I think this is, you can do a artwork this big on it, okay? And all you do is, because it's already parallel based, which I'm gonna get into, these lights always aim over here. You never shine them on this, okay, you don't. And those lights are aiming over here, because you want it to cross-reference the lighting on it. You don't want any harsh areas, unless, we will be discussing it, everybody knows what, what's the Italian word for little bumps? Impasto. Okay, if you're doing an impasto, I can change that up too, which we're gonna get into. But anyhow, that's a copy stand. That's the difference between a copy stand and a light and all this other stuff. Because whenever you're doing your artwork, okay, if you have a lot of artworks you want to copy, get a copy stand. Okay? Anybody? Okay, you just saw with that, what I just showed you.
Yeah.
Okay? And what happens is that your that's the basic way to set up your artwork. Now, what you don't want to do is shoot artwork that has glass on it. Like say this is your artwork right here. If you have it in a frame and under glass, you're going to have problems. Because you're going to get a lot of reflections out of the glass. That's one of the reasons why you take this light and you aim it over here. And you take this light and aim it over here. You don't aim it at the artwork. Because it's going to happen. So the light's going to come down, bounce right back up at you. Especially if you have glass in the frame. Don't do that. Take the artwork out of the frame. You can always put it back in. It's not hard. Okay? That's the way you set up your table. Like that. Basic. This is basic. This is all, these are yours to keep, by the way. Now, that's how to set up your artwork on the copy stand. Okay, this is how to set up your camera. Like I said, if you have a copy stand, it's practically all set up for you. But if you're going to do it the way I'm going to be showing you how to do it, if you don't want to get a copy stand, it's a lot more work you go through. But what you have to do is make sure that the camera is aiming directly in the middle of the artwork, okay? And, like I said before, use the, remember the thing you questioned about the paper? I think you put it in here to make sure it's in focus.
Yeah.
A focus sheet.
Yeah.
You put a focus sheet there so you can tune your camera at any time to be in focus. You don't trust the artwork, you always use focus sheet. Okay? You have your light set up on this here. So your parallel plane is directly across your artwork this way to directly across your lens that way. Now, your lens automatically, depending on how high up or down, the higher you're up, okay, the bigger the picture you can take, because it spreads out bigger. Whereas if it's lower, okay, it's a smaller. So you can adjust it just by bringing it up or down, whatever size you want. And again, I always say, keep a little extra all the way around, because you can always put it in your computer and drop it. But what you want to watch out for, remember I was telling you about this with wide angle and this and that. Well, there's another thing you have to know about. Does everybody know what keystoning is?
Yeah.
You know what keystoning is. You know what keystoning is?
Sure.
Okay, Ricky, you know what keystoning is? And you know what keystoning is, okay. Like when I set this up tonight, I had to make sure there's no keystone. You see how it goes right across the top here and right across the bottom here? And this is going at a little bit of an angle. Like that. Okay? That's called keystoning. In other words, I'm going to exaggerate it. Your image is doing this. Okay, so if you take your camera and you bring it and set it up in the middle, what's gonna happen is it's gonna go like this. If you go too far, it's gonna go like that. So you have to make sure that your camera is set up front to back in the middle. Then, if your camera's not parallel, you could go like this, the camera could be this way. So your keystoning, top and bottom is gonna do that, either this way or that way. So you have to set your camera up right in the middle with a 100-degree lens, okay? So you don't get this and you don't get keystoning. Keystoning means the top will be, this is keystoning right here. You can see it's not even. You try to make all of them pretty much even. You're never gonna be guaranteed perfect keystoning, just like here. But this is good enough, you know what I mean, right now? I think. Well, I hate that. I hate keystones. Oh, and speaking of keystoning, now you can see it. And we'll do it this way, you can see it even better. That's keystoning. Okay.
So with the, this type of setup,
With the what?
with the copy stand setup,
Yeah.
are there special cameras that,
No,
so any camera?
any
can-
camera. Yeah, you just stick your camera in there.
Okay,
It's nice if you have a release, because when, if it does go up high, you need a chair to look at it through.
right,
But if you have a longer release, you can stay down here and just keep shooting, you know. Because today we have digital, and in the
Right.
old days, when I used mine, I used film. So I had to make sure everything was perfect at first, you know. So I had to get a chair. You can actually, on the one I showed, where I can stand up on that and look right down into it, you know, and step in the middle. That's where the glass is. Although the glass is broken on it, I never use the glass.
Suppose if you don't have a coffee stand,
Yeah.
you put it on the floor.
That's what I'm gonna go through next.
Oh.
You shall ask, you
yeah,
shall
that's what
receive.
I have done.
Okay, there's, we talked about focus sheets earlier, okay? Okay.
Oh.
This tripod right there does this.
Oh.
I can take the camera off, put it at the bottom, and we did this with a light box coming up, okay? But you can just do it on the floor. Again, the problem is, and you don't know how bad it is until you do it. Every time you wanna take a picture of something, you have to set everything all up again. You can, okay? And you can shoot down at it that way, okay? But you have to make sure it's not keystoning, it's where you want it, and that all the legs are set properly, and your floor's not crooked, et cetera, et cetera. You have to go through all that, because you wanna make sure it is, well, I say square to the camera, but rectangular to the camera, whatever the case may be. But when I say square to the camera, you wanna make sure the lines are like what I just showed you, okay?
And your lights.
Lights are the same thing. You have a light here, aiming past it, a light up here, aiming past it.
Okay.
You don't, make sure you don't get, and you hope that these legs, you put the lights in a way that,
Suppose you only have just one light. How would you just do it in the daylight?
you can shoot outdoors in the daylight during the day if you have to. You can, it depends. My house is big and yellow, and, you know, and I took mine out in the backyard one time, I was gonna shoot it, and they all came out yellow,
Oh, really?
because the sun beat off my house right off.
Yeah.
Or you have the wicked blue sky, you have to be
Yeah.
careful, sometimes you have green bouncing, a lot of different things bouncing. You always turn the lights off in the room when you're doing it, the only lights you have on is the ones you can control.
Okay.
Okay, but you can take it out. I have done that myself, where I put it in a chair outside, okay? But I also took a big piece of black felt, like, very expensive.
Material, a black material?
Not just black material, felt, something to soak up the light,
Oh.
black felt, okay? We used to use it, we used to cover our heads as photographers with the 4-5s. You know the famous pictures of these
Yeah.
photographers, they
Yeah.
cover their heads with the felt? Okay, that doesn't let any light in so you could see.
Oh, I see.
And when you looked at 4-5, it was always upside down anyhow, so that's the world I grew up in. Now you know why I am the way I am. But you should put like some no bounce light to get on it.
Okay.
And I set it up in a chair, and I happen to get a nice shot of it, because I know how to make sure I don't get keystoning and all this and all that. Try it
Yeah.
sometime, see what you think.
Yeah.
Again, the bottom line is you, but then again, don't forget when you send it in. This is why I'm showing you all this tonight, because when you send it in, okay. Here's a small light stand, if you wanna buy a small light stand somewhere, but they only do small stuff, 8 by 10 or this or that. If you have anything from like, say, 18 by 20, 24 even, or something like that, if you have a place to set up your coffee stand, like I said, if you have something like this at your house where you can set up a good coffee stand, you have it there all the time. All you do is press the lights on, put your camera on it, and then once you get used to it, it should take you longer than 10 minutes. Okay, where the other ways will take you a while. These are just basic lights with your camera, same thing. This is the coffee stand I had at, we used in WGA, remember? Yeah, that's the coffee stand I had there that I used. But you can do something like this if you want, okay? I'll be showing you all the different ways. Impasto. The reason why you did impasto is because you know what impasto is? I don't know if you know what impasto is. I know you do. No, you do. You know what impasto is?
Mm-hmm.
You know what impasto is? Okay. Vincent van Gogh was great at impasto. Okay. When you go over and see his work, there's so much paint on it, there were little hills of paint. Okay? And sometimes you do it to get a texture in the paint, or a certain texture. Okay? And it's thick.
Yeah.
That's impasto. So in order to look at a good impasto, you have to move one of these lights back a little bit, so that this light, or whatever light you do, so that you can see those ridges. Because if both lights are equal, you're not going to see the ridges. But if one's away a little bit forward, you can see the shadow on that side a little bit more. So it's up to you to do the impasto, which light you want further away, or closer or further away. Okay? Have you got that? Okay. You want to have a break?
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
I mean, I can go on, it's still not 8 o'clock yet. We can stop at 8.
No, if you want a break, you can go on and grab a brownie
All
or a
right,
goodie.
just, I didn't know if anybody
Yeah,
wanted
too bad
to go to the ladies'
Jerry's
room or
not
whatever.
here. I have
Men's
a
room.
drink, but.